got hurt.
All right, so let's do as we always do every time a season ends with Rick and Morty. Yeah, just basically share our thoughts on each episode, right? So this would be the 8th season that we wrapped up yesterday, time of us recording this. So yeah, we'll just run through the episodes quickly, right? Well, Ricardo, you talked about Sum of All Fears, so
Right.
quick thoughts, and then I thought that it was a decent, start to the season, right? And I should mention, folks. Well, sorry to bring this up here now. I know you agree with this, Ricardo. This was a fine season. I was not in love with this season, to be honest. It was fine. I can't say that it was underwhelming, even though that there were a couple of
No,
episodes that I wish I enjoyed more.
Yeah, it only had like one or two episodes that really didn't work for me, but that's about it. I think most of it was good to decent, and then I thought the finale was amazing. Like, it was a really good
Yes,
finale.
it was.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to talk about
Yeah.
that finale, right? But
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is, like we always say, too long in the tooth. I suspect that this show should just wrap up. Like, I don't know, I just love even numbers, so yeah, this should wrap up at season 10. Sure. Let's give me 2 more seasons that just wrap this up, right? Because I could tell, like it's not like it's like the creators squeezing out ideas, but you could tell, like, I don't know, it's not so much that they don't have any more stories to tell. Like, they could put the one thing I always loved about the team behind the show, right? The creative team behind the show, right? These come out some really insane but very creative ideas, huh? But at the same time, I feel like, I don't know, boy, just kind of speed things up a little bit, wrap it up, and then end it off on a strong note, and then we could just buy the Blu-ray box set when it comes, all right? That's how I feel about it, right? Like, it just should wrap up in the next couple seasons, and then, we could just move on. And, well, I should mention also, too, because we just talked about San Diego Comic-Con stuff. Yeah, we're supposed to get a spin-off, of this show here, so we have it. Well, the president, I forget his name. Yeah, he gonna get his own spin-off show.
Yeah, so Keith David doing something. And I really was trying to think of, well, how are you going to spin off a Rick and Morty? What are you going to do with that? And what I was thinking, one thing I was thinking is that they're going to do something like have it be like a spiritual sibling to Inside Job now. Inside Job was a cool show. It is doing a lot. So, like, how to make this interesting in comparison to Rick and Morty. Okay, yeah, they could do something like that. I could see them doing something interesting enough and making that work. So that's about it.
Yeah. So that's quick thoughts on Some of All Fears. Well, I guess you can repeat how you felt about it, or I don't know if you might change on it. Yeah, Some of All Fears was a nice little, it was a nice mashup of The Matrix meets Edge of Tomorrow. When it took the conceit, was really, really ridiculous with the whole, like, I was surprised that it was all built around phone chargers, though. Like that's what all built around, a phone charger.
The sheer pettiness of Rick.
Yeah, boy. So, like, there's literally a war that takes place in this Matrix-esque scenario that Morty finds himself in, right? And yeah, and yes, they do the whole Edge of Tomorrow thing where he dies and he comes back because it's a Matrix man, right? But yeah, the whole idea that they're fighting over, like they have like these phone charger terms, and it's all about phone chargers and having access to power. It's just beyond ridiculous, shit. So it's one of those episodes where I was like, this joke is so dumb, but the way how they exploit it make it so entertaining, right? I enjoyed it. It's just they just take that concept of the whole phone charger thing. They just went way too. They just went way too ridiculous with it. That's just one gripe in it,
Yeah, it's very, very war on terror, Afghanistan, war for oil stuff with the jokes and the references and what Summer's plan was involved with Morty. that whole thing, that was funny. Yeah, also you have the allusion to, if you know what Killdozer is, look up that. That is a whole story.
All right.
But there's an allusion to that as well. Yeah, so this is that. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So, while I do like the fact that there isn't like some big all right, like usually there's not like a big story arc kind of connecting certain episodes, right? But I was surprised that the one that they really center on really is, well, Bet, right? Space Bet, right? Well, the normal Bet and the space Bet, right? In particular to them not remembering their mom, right? So, or having little memory of their mom, right? And of course, Rick being Rick, don't want to tell him nothing, right? So I was surprised that they actually connect.
They paid that off like earlier and then later in the season.
Yeah, exactly. So this one, Valkyrie, though, is basically this space adventure with Space Bet and Rick, and it involves an assassination attempt that failed, but now is to go after this bug queen basically, but she gets infected, and there's all this kind of drama going on, right? But it's just how over the top it is with the aliens and especially the action or the action in this series in this season is kind of insane to the point that I was thinking that every single episode is gonna have real over the top violence though, but actually there's a couple episodes that do that are very light on it, but this one was real over the top and I love it for it though. There was one great moment where Rick was talking about having to meet some guy to pull off a plan, right? And while they're talking, when they hear that dialogue,
This
you
is fun.
see the plan play out exactly with
Right.
all the
And,
with big chase scenes and whatnot. I was like, I am
right.
loving all of this. And how they play
It's
it off
very,
at the
very
very end
emotional.
with the guy that they were supposed to
Yeah.
meet is like, oh yeah, I was high up for drugs and wait, I was supposed to get a
Right.
call from Rick and play out.
Right.
But yeah, how,
And
that I
they
really
yeah.
enjoyed that episode just because of how over the top and insane it was with the action and the stuff like that. I
Yeah,
enjoyed
yeah.
for
And
the
they do that.
action. That's what it
They do that.
was.
Yeah, they do that whole thing with what do you call it by Ocean 11. They explain the plan and it stopped working. And what they do with it is funny. It's a really funny bit.
Yeah, it is, right? So that was a really enjoyable one, but that's because of how over the top it was, right? So the next episode we have is the Rick, the Mort, and the Ugly, right? So
Right.
this one is, basically the Rick and Morty clones. I didn't see that one coming, right? But this is after the fall of the Citadel, which I think,
Right.
no, that didn't take place the last season. I think it was the one before that, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah.
I just forget I
Yes.
just forget the lore. I just forget the Rick and Morty lore, to be
So
honest.
the fallout of the structure of the Citadel.
Yeah. So yeah, we introduced the homesteader Rick, and he is going after one of the big Rick clones basically, right? But he is not I think like he used to manufacture the clones, so he actually I don't think he was a clone. I can't remember. The logic was kind of weird to
Yeah,
me, right?
he was not a clone. He was an original Rick, a real Rick, quote unquote. Because a bunch of clones, effectively.
Right.
Remember the whole Phoenix project thing that Rick did years ago. Same idea.
Right.
So
Right.
they didn't know that. So they didn't know that, and they just keep up with that narrative. You know how to follow it. They'll catch you up enough, and like, oh yeah, right. I kind of remember all it. There were a handful of inconsistencies or whatever it is. I
Yeah.
suppose, but it's fine.
Yeah, but this one was just like a nice little team up because, it's homesteader Rick, but we introduced the Arcade Morty who works at this bar, right? Because it's this kind of like desert planet, right? And together they try to take down the big bad guy and, a big shootout
Yeah.
takes place and all kind of insanity takes place, right? So,
It's a big
again,
Western,
it's a nice little Western throwback, but, a nice little action comedy as well. Like, I find myself really enjoying the action comedy episodes, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Exactly.
this one was fun. This one was fun. But yeah, any thoughts on this episode here?
Yeah, this was hot. There's a great like law continuity in episode. It's like, okay, there's a nice dimension to this, and they play with that really in a clever way. So like it's good, it's fun.
Yeah. So up next we have the last temptation of Jerry. What I will just say, just right off the gate.
This one don't work at all for me. I don't.
This was so stupid. It was so stupid.
Yeah, it didn't work. I noticed that with Rick and Morty. All these sex episodes don't work. Like for whatever reason, they just don't get sex jokes or sex comedy funny at all. Like those just never work. Anything involved with like sex jokes or being edgy in a sexual way never work. The one with the incest baby, the one with this, like all these stuff, this almost never work. I don't know. It's just kind of fall flat for whatever reason.
Yeah, I agree, right? This episode was beyond ridiculous, right? This how they did Deck the Hall, like just from the gate too. They reworked Deck the Halls to talk about Easter. I was like, it's so stupid, but they had a laugh at it, right? And I just find myself just watching like this is stupid and nobody laughing at it, right? The Jesus Christ aliens, the sort of Christ guns that they have, like they literally have a character, one of them who got killed, and you just see like a blood splatter, and it's in the shape of a cross. But yes, it is a sex joke because yes, what happens is that Jerry ends up becoming infected now with some alien disease, if you will.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Related to some alien bunny. So yes, he turns into a bunny, and yes, the joke is that he fucks a lot. But what it had but at though was him basically setting off like these weird sort of pheromones, if you will, and like when he sends it off to other people, they get horny and they just go at anything, you know what I mean? Because that's what I was like, all right, sure, this is where we're going at. Okay, right? But it was interesting though because we boy Evan Moss Backrack make appearance. I think he was one of the I think he was the leader of the Christ aliens or something like that, right? But yeah, it was ridiculous. It was really, really stupid, but it didn't piss me off. It was like, boy, I was wasting my time watching this. It was just like, wow, man, this is so dumb. This is so dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah. Any more thoughts on this episode here?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it just was. This was the weakest of the season for me. But it's still funny enough. Like whatever, it's fine.
Yeah. So up next we have Cryo Mort Rickfer, right? This
Mm.
is well, all right. I generally enjoy this one, right? For a reason that I didn't see coming, right? So this is where basically they go into this sleeper ship now, and Rick is like, hey, they have like gold inside here. Let's take these because everybody's in cryo sleep, right? And concept wise, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of brilliant, huh? But then as you'd expect, something happened, and then well, everybody wakes up and they end up hiding amongst the members of the ship, right? And then you get like basically like these two classes, right? So you have the upper and the lower
Right.
class there. They kind of fight each other, right?
Yeah.
But what made this really funny to me though was
Yeah.
the
So they
sort
make
of cannonball run, but it was it,
cannonball
was- it
run.
was
Yeah.
more if right. So if you're familiar with classic film, right? Classic comedy,
Yeah.
it's the
Mm.
inspiration of Cannonball Run, right? Which is called "It's a Man, Man, Man Rule."
Mad,
That's
mad,
where the
mad bull,
reference
right?
from,
Yeah.
right? Where it's like,
And then
oh, there's gold over there. Let's jump in a car and let's all
yeah,
speed
yeah,
down to get the goal. And hey, you in my
yeah,
way, and you bounce them down. You do whatever you can to get to get your competitor out of the way. Because the goal is that you need to get there and get the goal. And it's basically
right,
this brat. Well, it's an old man and this young brat basically steal the goal and hide it out
right,
in a casino of all places, right? So yeah, that whole mad dash thing to get at the goal, that was the highlight for me, right? Because I picked up on the
right.
reference as well to that movie that I mentioned and Cannonball Run, right? So yeah, it was fun. Another dumb but fun episode, but it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable. But yeah, any thoughts on this episode here?
Yeah, this is a fun episode. It again, mad world rat race to a certain extent. Also, the same conceits, and just the whole Rick having to hide and pretend to be the son. That whole bit was really stupid and funny, but like it worked. It's a good episode. I enjoyed this one. That classic episode. It felt like something that Futurama could have made.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know what you mean,
Yeah.
especially with the whole class or something, right?
Right.
So episode 6 now. We have the Curixus case of Benjamin Button, right?
Right.
So this is where we go back to the whole bet team, right? Because yeah, we have both Space Bet and Bet, and they find this de-aging machine, and they both,
Right.
through some circumstances, decided they want to be 10-year-old girls again, right? So they run about, right?
Right.
What I didn't expect is that they end up kind of fight each other, and then they end up like sneaking into the neighbor house, and he end up getting hurt and all that kind of stuff. And but it's really what he was exploring there in terms of yeah, just them trying to not so much reclaim their childhood, but revisit it, right? Because again, they would have remembered it because they don't remember their mom, right? So I thought like just emotional wise, it worked, right? I was not a fan personally. I was not a fan of the 10-year-old is. I was like, oh, we need to just be obnoxious because we're 10-year-olds. It was like, but all they're better, like all they're supposed to be like smart individuals. Like I understand all they're young, but all they being way too obnoxious, right? Especially with the neighbor and
Yeah.
what they do is like, oh god, well, this serious.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I
Yeah.
got the emotional weight of the story, especially in the end
Yeah.
when Rick comes in as well, and also a
Right.
great use of the Cheers team song. I didn't see that one coming, but that was really cool, right?
Right.
But yeah, emotionally,
Right.
it
But
works. It works.
yeah, yeah, but they established earlier that Beth is like a psychopath, like from as a child. Like she was a total psychopath as a child because they had an episode where they went into the imaginary world with Beth and they leave her boy. She leave her boy inside there and she used to make like knives and a bunch of shit that she used to make. And Rick had to hide it. So he's like, oh yeah, she's a problem. And they established like why it's probably explained why she's a horse surgeon. Like it's just Beth's a psycho, so they make it work. And I don't know. I'd follow this one. It's terrifying by the way how the two of them operated, but like they make it work.
Yeah, especially the moments with the neighbor, just like, geez, but like,
Yeah, but
what is up with them, boy? God damn, what's
and
going
then
on
yeah,
there?
so the neighbor, right? They established on the neighbor the consistencies about the neighbor, having to the Rick having to sort out the neighbor because all the weird shit that the family just do. But
Yes,
that
yes.
and when they get into the messages, that was funny.
Oh yeah, that was funny. Yeah, yeah. There was one where he says, yeah, a house literally attacked him. That one catch me.
Yeah,
A house literally attacked him, right?
yeah, yeah,
So now we get what is, in my opinion, the best episode here, Ricker Fiction. Just
right,
simply because James Gunn is in it. I was like, yeah, I gotta love this
right,
episode, right? But I just love
yeah.
the meta
That's Zack
commentary
Snyder.
on, yeah, and Zack side, of course, right? But I just
Yeah,
love the
yeah,
meta commentary on, yeah, just the shallowness of today's blockbuster filmmaking. That's the point of it, right? Look, dude, they even throw in a Fast and Furious reference in this, right? They have a
yeah,
blatant Fast and Furious Kachi scene with techno music in it. And I like again, I love it, right? But that's the concept of this machine that was designed to take James Gunn's script for this thing called maximum velocity, which is so dumb, huh?
Yeah,
And yes, it is a play on Transformers, right? That's what it's about. That's what it's about, right? But that's the idea of, hey, I can write a better script than you. And of course, because it's Rick and Morty, they go into, and I actually would have been disappointed if this didn't happen, right? But yeah, both Rick and Morty go into the world of the script, right? So they are playing things out, while the story is being played out, they have to kind of survive there, right? But yeah, this episode absolutely works. The commentary on it totally works. The ending before we get to the credits absolutely worked for me. It involves Warner Brothers execs, and I was wondering, wait, no, but all right. So I had to remind myself if Warner owns Cartoon Network, Jim, because I was like, hey, they're showing the Warner Brothers logo
right,
and the water tower. I was like, hey, they get rights to do that. Like, the mere fact that James Gunn and Zack Snyder is in it, I mean that Warner had gave them their blessing basically, right? So I look into that, right? But yeah,
right.
I
But
absolutely enjoyed this episode. This was just a lot of fun. The references that they make, just the quick humor, totally worked for me. I love this episode, right? Yeah. But yeah, any thoughts on this one here?
no, yeah, this one is pretty good. As it is. Again the meta commentary. It's not surprising this is the lead up to the same week Superman coming out. And so it's just like the commentary about Superman fandom. The relationship between um Snyder and Gunn himself. And then the final thing when Gunn is well quote unquote killed. He has that same pose as Superman in the show,
All
like the
right.
rapture pose.
Yes.
And like, oh god, what are you doing, boy?
Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. Again, I have a feeling Warner had some part to play in this trend,
Yeah,
but
yeah, it's a total hype Superman movie.
yeah, but that's just one little minor note, though. What one moment that this had me in stitches, and you could tell like James had fun doing this, right? Is where he
Mm.
calls Jerry, right, and he trying to sound like better. It's like, hey, I'm on my way home right
Right.
now. He does the female voice.
Yeah.
Boy, that had me in stitches. But I was like, oh, it's like you are enjoying yourself, James. You are enjoying yourself,
Yeah.
and you do your thing, right? So as we almost wrap
Right.
up here, right? So we have No More Land, right? This is how I call it. I call it like the Eternal Sunshine Spotless Mind episode, but they kind of mix it with everything everywhere all at once, right? Where it's
Right.
a multiverse, right? Related around one character, but the way how they move from place to place is very Eternal Sunshine, right? So you literally go through a mirror or go in a cupboard or some fabric or whatever it is, right? And
Right.
it's just basically seeing Jerry in various dimensions, right?
Right.
This one actually works in terms of just basically exploring the character of Jerry, right? Why he's
Yeah,
always
yeah, it's a great
ignored,
episode.
right? Yeah, I like that's all
Yeah.
built on, hey, well, nobody care about me anyway, so I can just duck out and go into another dimension, see myself, then come back and nobody will know anything, right? And he actually did that.
Right.
I love in the end where Rick knew, like Rick was aware, it's
Yeah.
like I know
Right.
I know what's going on here, I know what's going on here, right? But
Yeah.
it was a nice little character study. That's what I saw it as, right? Not and it's actually I think probably the least violent episode that we got here, right? Yeah, like you get like little confrontations and stuff like that, right? But outside that, it's just about Jerry kind of learning about himself, and I can't be mad.
Right.
This
And
was
which is
this was pretty cool, man.
Mooch. And I like the other guy, Mooch. Mooch is a great version of Jerry. That's
Yes,
interesting.
yes, yes.
And they running joke at everybody about 5 o'clock shadow. That's funny.
Yeah, I remember that. That was funny, right? Up next, we have Morty Daddy, right? This
Right.
was one that I wish I enjoyed more, even though I did, but I wish I enjoyed
Yeah.
more. I was digging the precog jokes because it's a play on
Right.
Minority Report. So is these
Right.
three precogs who work at a restaurant, so they know exactly the orders that both Rick and Summer ask for, but Summer feeling that kind of way because Summer can't get what she wants and all kind of shenanigans take place, right? But then now, Rick now, and I forgot the man had a son. I forgot about that shit though. So, so now the son name is Junior. I forgot about Junior.
Yeah.
So now,
Morty. Yeah. Morty. Yeah, Morty had
sorry,
a son,
Morty. Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry
yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
Morty and Junior go into
Robot.
this pretty much this garbage dimension, basically where
Right.
Rick throws all of his garbage, but it's meant to be like
Yeah.
the Lord of the Rings because you have like a Sauron character. His name is Galvatron. So it's like both Lord of the Rings and Transformers they make it fun of, but the idea is that both Morty and Junior kind of making back up for because basically Morty don't like he kind of hate his son because his son Rel make him out on this book that he put out, right? This autobiography,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I really wanted to like this one, but I just felt like the jokes weren't landing as well as they should. Although there was like some crass moments involving Junior and the idea that the mom is a sex doll and shit like
Right.
that. But yeah, outside that though, I think what really brought it on for me was the precog stuff. Like I got the joke, but I was like, they just run this thing down to the ground too much, and I didn't care for how that joke ended anyway. So I was like, I don't know. But yeah, other than that, this episode was fine, but this was one of my least favorites to be honest. But yeah, any thoughts on this
Yeah,
one here?
man. Yeah, me too. One of the weaker ones as well. Again, still kind of funny. It had some okay jokes, but like you could tell, well, no pun intended. It felt like a dubbed joke for a lot of material that they just had to make an episode out of. So that's about it.
And last but not least, Hot Rick, right? Which I literally watched yesterday time I was recording this, right? So yeah, this is
Yeah,
where things come full circle with the whole betting, right? Because in another so it's like Eternal Sunshine, but I see they put a bit of 2001 in it as well too,
right,
with
right.
the I would say the setting where this character is placed,
Yeah,
right?
the first room. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
All
memory.
right. So this a follow up. There's a follow up to the one with Bird Person. Remember we went in Bird Person's brain,
Right,
and
right, right.
he mentioned that. So it's that guy. But apparently, when Rick mixed with Jerry, remember Rick and Jerry did overlap with each other brain wise.
That
Apparently,
was
that
that
he
was in
snuck.
the last season, I think, right? If I
I think
remember,
so, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So he overlap and he stick with Jerry. So Jerry now like having false memories, and because Jerry's so dozy, she noticed that. But Rick pick up on something. He's like, all right, the references that I thought that whole man with his boy mental Rick or mind Rick, it's
No,
memory Rick.
Memory Rick, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, memory Rick. Yeah, yeah, it's a great like what they do it is really clever and well done, though, and it's
It
great.
is,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I love all of it.
Yeah, what will make it work for me was just the emotional set of it all, right? Because you actually see Rick's wife, right? That would be, Beth's mom, right? So
Right.
now both,
Diane.
yeah, Diane, right? So both Beths are being, or I should say the human Beth, sorry, the Earth Beth, right? Is now being reminded of the mom now, but now Memory Rick, sorry, kind of do some sort of matrix stuff. So kind of telling her, basically to prepare for Rick to try to extract that memory from her permanently, right? So, but what I love about this episode, right, is that it referenced the previous episodes involving the two Beths thread. I was like, what? Like we doing this, right?
Yeah.
Again, in a very Eternal Sunshine kind of thing. Like when you will just see a reference, you will just go from one place to the next, it just kind of bleeds into to each other, right? But that's the emotional core of it all that really, really works, right? Even though it is some mind tripping stuff, right? But it totally works, man. I really dug this one, right? And that's one thing I always loved about this show here. They always like leave the most emotional thing for last, though, something that kind of cripples Rick, right? Makes him more vulnerable, right? I kind of dug the idea of him being more emotionally open, as you say, right? So because he extract the memory of his wife, he's emotionally open. So when he's with this particular alien chick, I forgot her name, but I was trying to remember if she was in a recent episode because she looked familiar.
Oh gosh, Unity.
Wait, that's her? I swear it was somebody
No, it's
else
not the same
though.
here. It's another alien trick, but it's not Unity. Unity is the one you started about in some years back. I forget the episode.
Right. I was really trying to remember who she was, right? But yeah, him still not what like okay, like he's open, yes, but he still can't open up to his new partner or whatever it is, right? So I like how they do that, right? So yeah, it's that okay, we need to reveal another layer of Rick's personality and we understand, yeah, why he's such an asshole, why he's always so, numb, you know what I mean, when it comes to just being emotional or showing emotion, right? It works, right? But just using Beth and Diane to sort of frame that, I think totally works, right? The post credit scene with I forget the character's name right now was
Yeah, terrible.
yeah, it just
That
kind of
is
fell
terrible.
flat because it was just like, all right, all right, so okay, this is not the wall from Solar Opposites, right? You don't need to have an
Right.
extra story going on for me to remember. 'Cause I don't remember shit about this character. I do remember in the last season, yes, you saw his wife there, right? But what they try to say here is like, okay, well, in the next season you'll see what happens there. But no, we have to wait until the season finale to see what happens to him, and we don't care. He's basically the guy who kind of sums up the show. That's what it is. I forget his
Right.
character name right now, right? He have this weird name, something bottom or something like that. I can't remember his name right now, but
Poopy bottle.
yeah, Poopy Bottle. That's what it is, right here. But yeah, at the end of the day, this was not one of my favorite seasons, though. It just really feels like the premise is just being worn down again and again and again and again, and it's just about them just being so absurd and over the top, though, to kind of just keep us roped in, right? But it still entertains though. I actually binged this when I watched the first. What did I watch? Like the first 7 episodes. Then watching the last three yesterday time I was recording this, right? But it was still entertaining and made for a good binge, right? And I will say, the voice acting is still great, across the board. I am really impressed at what Ian Cardoni and Harry Belden are doing as Rick and Morty respectively. I like how it's two guys doing the voice work here, not one man. So you get some great bouncing of characters and voice actors that really works. But really, at the end of the day, it's just the over the top insanity and just how they play on certain sci-fi tropes and fantasy tropes and movies and all that kind of stuff, right? That still works, right? But that still, I don't know. Let's give us 2 more seasons and then just wrap things up, right? And then we can be happy. I'll buy the Blu-ray box set and I'll be happy for the rest of my life, right? But for now, this show kind of needs to wrap up, right? But yeah, for me, I'm gonna give this a strong 3.5 to like 4, man. Didn't love the season as much as all that, but it was still enjoyable for what it is, right? But yeah, Ricardo, any last thoughts? And yeah, your return of the season here.
Yeah, I enjoyed the finale. Was really strong. I enjoyed most of it for what it was. Again, not the strongest season, but definitely not the weakest. I just thought it was like fine. Like for what it is. Like they just keep it. They try to keep it funny. They do what they have to do. They didn't try to like waste too much time on nonsense, and they make it work for what it was. Again, the finale is very strong with bets and that whole back and forth and that psychology. I really thought they could have left Space Bet dead though. Like I really thought that, oh shit, she should stay dead. And I think it was like, they keep her alive. All right, okay, fine. I really think that kind of really finale. A little bit filmed, but it wasn't a big deal. I'm still nice about it. Dug it. Yeah, rating, I don't know. Like a 7 out of 10. Solid.